Picture the ultimate comic book showdown. Cosmic energies colliding, universes splintering apart, and a villain holding the fabric of reality in their hands. We tend to measure a villain's worth by their raw power, but chasing those maximum stats usually leads to a frustrating reading experience. Writers change, editorial mandates shift, and the physical rules of these universes get rewritten decade after decade. This creates a divide among readers. You have power scalers tracking every punch, narrative junkies looking for character arcs, and lore builders cataloging the history. We are going to bypass the playground debates over who hits the hardest. Instead, we are going to measure return on investment. Which type of villain actually rewards the time and money you spend reading their stories? To find out, we map these threats on a quadrant chart. The horizontal axis measures investment required, how much lore you need. The vertical axis measures threat scale from city to multiverse. Villains naturally group into three categories: reality warpers, dimensional rulers, and dark mirrors. Finding the strongest villain requires matching your specific reading preferences to the right narrative architecture. We start with the reality warpers. To understand these villains, you have to be willing to read massive, multi-issue crossover events that pull in dozens of heroes across different timelines. These stories demand heavy reading because the stakes are absolute. The Anti-Monitor pushed the Flash to his limit, forcing Barry Allen to sacrifice his own life to keep the multiverse from collapsing. Over in Doctor Strange's world, the Elder God Shuma Gorath cornered Stephen Strange so completely that Strange had to kill his own mentor, the Ancient One, simply to stop the creature from manifesting on Earth. At the extreme end of this scale is Zom, a being of infinite destructive mystic energy. Strange couldn't stop him. The cosmic living tribunal had to step in to contain the damage. But that extreme scale comes with a cost. Because these villains possess infinite power, heroes often win via convoluted plot devices or universe resets, rather than satisfying character victories. Let's lock this into our comparison matrix. Under the reality warpers, the input is a massive crossover, the outcome is maximum spectacle, and the trade-off is the frequency of Deus Ex Machina defeats. They offer an unmatched epic scale, but you pay for it with a lack of satisfying emotional closure. Next, we have the dimensional rulers. These villains require you to invest in dense mythologies, complex world-building, and strict mystical rules. Take Nightmare. As the ruler of the dream dimension, he doesn't need to lift a finger to gather strength. He gains omnipotence passively, continuously feeding off the fears of humanity every time we go to sleep. Then there is Dormammu. Within his dark dimension, his magic is absolute. He uses that invulnerability to strip Doctor Strange of his spells, forcing the Sorcerer Supreme into desperate physical brawls to survive. The trade-off here is finality. You cannot truly kill a god inside their own realm. Conflicts with dimensional rulers often end in stalemates, temporary banishments, or tense bargains. Updating our matrix, the dimensional rulers require lore investment. The outcome is dealing with untouchable omnipotence, and the trade-off is a reliance on stalemates rather than permanent solutions. If you enjoy strategic, magical chess matches, these stories are perfect, but they can feel repetitive if you want a definitive final battle. Finally, the dark mirrors. To appreciate these villains, you have to be deeply invested in the hero's personal history, their origins, and their supporting cast. Savitar operates as a dark reflection of the Flash. He is a time remnant clone of Barry Allen, representing the exact path Barry would take if he lost his family and his morals. Hunter Zolomon manipulates the Speed Force with a twisted goal: to inflict severe psychological trauma on Wally West, believing that breaking Wally's spirit is the only way to forge him into a better hero. And Baron Mordo serves as the ultimate foil for Stephen Strange. Mordo recognized Strange's potential early on and ensured Stephen's life was plagued with torment and nightmares years before he ever learned magic. For readers who care about objective power scaling, these villains often disappoint. They operate on a lower scale of raw destruction and lack objective feats like planetary annihilation. Rounding out our matrix, the dark mirrors require you to know the hero's personal history. The outcome is severe emotional trauma, and the trade-off is a much lower scale of raw, destructive power. Dark mirrors deliver the highest emotional stakes and psychological devastation in comics, grounding the conflict in the hero's personal ruin. In the world of comic book creation, a villain's strength is a narrative tool designed to service a specific type of story. So let's use this decision flowchart to pick your next reading investment, starting with the question, what makes a villain compelling to you? If you are an event reader who wants to see a hero push to their physical limits on a multiversal scale and can tolerate abstract plot devices, follow the path to cosmic spectacle. You should invest in the reality warpers and pick up an event like Final Crisis. If you are a fantasy enthusiast who values rich world-building and tactical battles where a hero has to outsmart a bod, follow the intricate lore path. Invest your time in the dimensional rulers. And if you believe that true strength is breaking a hero's spirit, follow the psychological trauma path. You should read the character-driven arcs of the Dark Mirrors, like The Flash, Blitz. A comic villain's strength is best measured by their capacity to make the hero and the reader genuinely doubt that victory is even possible.